Sit down, Mr. Kerry. My eminent predecessor, Mr. Phillips, has suggested that it is a requirement, I'm being made chairman of this august institution, that I should make a speech. So I'm afraid you've got to that. So, welcome to the first lunch of 2010. And welcome also to the season when rarely market research comes into the public eye. Well, market research in the sense of polling. Because the media, of course, are reporting polls every single day of the campaign. 2 weeks tomorrow, we shall know what the outcome was. And we'll either all be derided for our inaccuracies, as is sometimes the case, or more often, we'll be ignored by the fact that the polling companies somehow or other have managed to pull off the amazing feat of predicting the outcome of an election when most of the people voting make up their minds on the way to the polling station in the morning. And of course this particular election at the moment looks like being the worst ever to predict, so thank God I am not a pollster, or indeed. Anybody here a pollster? No, you're all welcome.
Former. No one will have
Former. Mr. Bartram here. Now, it's not just polls, of course, that researchers are involved in this election. One researcher, or at least one former researcher, Nadim Zahardi, he was the former chairman of YouGov, is the Conservative candidate in Stratford-on-Avon. And Stratford-on-Avon, as you might expect, is a very safe Conservative seat, so he will probably be a member of the Parliament in the coming government. Not government. In the coming Parliament.
You're showing your prejudice.
No. Less seriously, the managing director of an agency called Firefish, interestingly named Jem Forkas, is due to marry David Cameron's sister Claire. So obviously Jem, who's not a member I'm afraid, will be waiting for the election result to see whether he'll be able to hold his wedding reception in Chequers or not. Now, neither Nadim nor Jem are members of the network, but I'm glad to say that we have 5 members here today who are attending their first event as members. So I'd like them all to stand up as I call their names out. Sue, don't flinch. Stand up, Sue Nosworthy. Sally Donovan. Peter Allen. I was told to stand up anyway. And Lawrence Bailey. John Archer came as a guest, but he's already signed up and given his cheque to Jill, so you can say And welcome to I was going to say the 12 guests, but now it's only 11 because John isn't a guest. And Jill will look forward to receiving your membership applications tomorrow without fail. I'd also like to mention Paul Frank Winter, a member of the steering group. Last we heard of him, he was stuck in Doha waiting for a flight to come back and couldn't wait to get here. Poor Frank hasn't come. Oh, he's in the lap of lunch. We're happy for Frank. Continuing on the members theme, many of you, slightly more seriously, would have seen that Andrew Ehrenberg, who sadly is not well and can't be with us today, recently was given a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Advertising Research Foundation in the United States. This is a great and a well-merited honour to one of the people who has made a real difference to our understanding of shopper behaviour and many other areas of research. And it's a pity that Andrew can't be here for us today, for us to applaud him, but you know, it is a wonderful thing for him to have been given, and congratulations to him. More sadly, and I'm afraid this is always the case on these lunches, we have to record the death of one member since the last social occasion, that was Mary Wallace-Jones. And also the deaths of 4 other researchers who will have been known to many of you. Sue Bradley, Martin Fishbein, Michael Thomas, and Peter Cooper. And they will all be sadly missed. So, what can I say? Obituaries of all of those people were in the February issue of the newsletter, which I hope most of you will have seen. If you haven't, do please go online And you can see the excellent job that Nick Tanner here is doing to keep us all abreast of what's going on in our world. Now let's move on to future activities. The next newsletter, carrying on that theme, is due out around August, Nick, is it? Yeah. So if you've got any news you'd like to pass on, if you'd like to write an article, something you can't wait to share with other members, do please get in touch with us. Nick says that contributions are always eagerly sought and they're very rarely rejected. So if you've got anything to say, he's the man to talk. The next social event, which is probably going to get a bigger response than the last request for contributions to the newsletter, is going to be the summer party. As the last 2 years, it will be at the Oriel Kensington Rowing Club in Hammersmith on the 7th of July. Those of you who've been there will know it's a wonderful location, particularly if the weather is nice. It had been suggested that we might try and find somewhere with rather fewer steps, since you do have to walk up and down about 3 flights. But sadly, we couldn't find anywhere as good. But if any of you know somewhere of an equally sociable situation without steps, do please let us know and we'll look into it. We hope to have an equally impressive turnout as today, so keep your eyes open for the invitation, which Jill will send out in a month or so, Jill? About that? Yeah? Okay. The summer party, of course, will be organised by the usual dynamic duo of Jane Bain and Jane William, standing there for photographs. Jane and Jane continue to do an exceptional job of finding remarkably good venues at good value, and I'm sure you'll agree that today's lunch has lived up to their usual high standard, and we'll join me in thanking them. Before I come on to my final point, can I just make one housekeeping issue? When you leave, could you please leave your badges behind if you chuck them on this table up here? That just saves Jill the effort of having to reprint them all next time, because you will all be coming next time, won't you? Yes. Thank you very much. So please remember to leave your badges behind. And so finally, it gives me enormous pleasure to record one other milestone, and that is the 80th birthday of Tom Punt. Tom has been a member of the steering group since its inception and has made a huge contribution to our success. He's our webmaster and he's maintained and improved our website since 2002. So I think you should all join me in a tipsy rendition of Happy Birthday to Tom. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tom. Happy birthday to you. I'm afraid they may not be 80 slices.
Could I just give a short response, speaking as the 14th oldest member of the research team? I feel a comparative youngster. Yeah. I must say, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me when Peter Bartram came along and said, would you come along to a meeting at Research International? So starting a thing for our age group. And then he said to me, I think we have to have a newsletter. So we need somebody who's got sort of desktop publishing abilities. And I said, well, you don't really need that, Peter. You know, you can do a decent desktop publishing job using Word. And he said, oh right, you're the editor of the newsletter. And then he said, and we probably need a website. And I said, well, I'm not sure about that, but I think I know how to do it. So I started a very primitive FTP site, which resided on my AOL free space for a while. And that didn't go down terribly well, even worse than the present website, which is professionally hosted and I hope looks a bit better. But it's been great to be with the Research Network, and I owe it all to Peter. And succeeding chairman of the steering group, Nick, and and I want to go on here to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The only final thing to say is we have to be out of here by 4 o'clock because they have another function at 5. So enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.